Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money, with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 489 of Screw the Commute podcast. We're here with John Fuhrman, and we're here as part of Vetpreneur Month. Every year we celebrate our veterans, and I got to tell you, last week I was going to record a veteran, and both of us said, you know what? We just don't feel like it. It was the day that those 13 folks got killed in Afghanistan, and neither one of us could just yuck it up on a podcast at that time. So we want to really highlight our veteran entrepreneurs and all the great things that they're doing, and thank them for all the great things they've done for us to keep us safe. So that's what this month is all about. And John is a Navy veteran, and we go way back to the point where we were riding camels in Morocco together. Not the same camel. Poor camel would have, probably committed suicide if we were both on one. And I'm going to see if he remembers how Pizza Hut figured into that equation. But anyway, he's also got this crazy program. I think he must be getting senile or something. He's given away 30% of his company in the next 90 days. And I don't know how that's going to work, so we'll get him to explain that for us. But anyway, he's got a dry rub company out of Maine, and I don't know. I don't know anything about dry rubs. It sounds kind of painful to me, but he'll tell us all about it. All right, so hope you didn't miss that. And it was just so happened, episode 488 was veteran Frank Manteau, who invented another edible product called Crayons Ready to Eat. It's a play on words off Meals Ready to Eat. He's a Marine, and the Marines lately have been called crayon eaters rather than jarheads and, bullet sponges, all the other things they call them. So he was episode 488. And anytime you want to get to a back episode, you just go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number 488. All right. How'd you like to make big monies by referring my stuff? Well, you can make anywhere from $8.50 for a simple ebook referral to up to more than $5,000 for a speaking engagement referral, and everything in between. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, email me at tom@screwthecommute.com and we'll give you details. Now, pick up a copy of our automation ebook. It saved me millions of keystrokes, and we actually figured it out a couple years ago. 7.5 million keystrokes we estimated it saved me. It's also allowed me to ethically steal customers from people too slow to get back to people, and it's cut my workload down like crazy. So all the tips and tricks I use are in this book. We sell it for $27, but it's yours free for listening to the show. Grab a copy at screwthecommute.com/automate-free, screwthecommute.com/automate-free. And while you're at it, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, where you can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. All right, let me tell you quickly about the legacy program I'm running. It's a pilot program to help folks with physical disabilities get trained in a highly in-demand skill. Internet marketing and digital marketing is the skill. And not only get them trained remotely so they don't have to travel, but get them hired at good jobs or start their own business or both. So I'm running a pilot program for 5 people. And as soon as I prove the concept, I'm going to roll it out really big and go for like grant and foundation money and stuff to help loads and loads of people, including veterans that have mobility problems. So check that out at imtcva.org/disabilities. All this stuff will be clickable in the show notes. All right, let's get to the main event. John Fuhrman's here, and you spell that Fuhrman. I always have to remember how to do that. But he returned to his birthplace of Winter Harbor, Maine. And he had this wild idea to build a veteran-owned barbecue dry rub company in a lobster village. And his unique blend of spices and Maine ingredients, good quality ingredients, not sawdust like a lot of the big companies throw in stuff. There's won awards in competition and cooking contests, and now it's sold across the USA. John, are you ready to screw the commute?
I am. Let's screw.
All right, man. Oh, man, do we go way back? Do you remember our camel rides in Morocco?
Oh, yes, I do. And I remember the marketplace and sitting on the floor of a restaurant. They said it was a pillow, but it was the floor. Yes, I do remember.
What I remember so vividly is we were out riding the camels, and we came up on this really ornate tent, giant tent, like an outdoor tent thing, and all these tassels hanging off of the tables and everything. I thought, oh, they're going to make a big feast with a big lamb or pig one or something. So we're all sitting around there with next to these camels, and the Pizza Hut delivery truck drove up through the desert. Do you remember that?
Right? I do. Yeah. And I remember, oh gosh, it was one of the other guys that were with us. We later on got back to the hotel, and they had the Rotary meeting sign out there. Rotary meets here Thursday afternoons. And I'm like, we're halfway around the world and they're having Rotary meetings here. I wonder what they serve.
Exactly.
Is it chicken?
Right. No, I don't know if that was you or this other guy that his little boy was on the camel with me. Did you have?
I must know.
That wasn't you. Okay.
No.
Yeah, because I remember one of the little ones riding with me. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. I still have the promo picture of me dressed up like a sheik, and I had the promo picture with me on my cell phone with a laptop up on the camel.
Oh my goodness.
So
yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, so tell us about this dry rub stuff. I mean, I'm the worst cook on earth. I mean, I can make a little bit of stuff, but when we start talking about these, it's I'll send you dry rub stuff, and I'm like, what do I do with it? Do you bathe in it? What do you do?
Yeah, you can. That's right. It cures male pattern baldness. And if you get it in your car, it'll give you 10 miles to the ground.
Oh, boy, I should have taken it.
I just want to get all the false claims out of the way. But, a dry rub is nothing more than a batch of seasoning, spices, what have you, put together to create a particular flavor. Mostly, in this country, any combination of dry rubs is usually associated with barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have your top barbecue chefs in the country, the best barbecue restaurants in the country, and they kind of blend their own from scratch, their own flavors, and that becomes their signature, much like Italian restaurants have their own twist on their sauce or their gravy. And what we decided to do was to take that mentality, that custom blend it ourselves for the average cook or barbecuer to save them time and really control the ingredients so that the right spices go together. Otherwise, you're experimenting, for the rest of your lives, looking for that flavor that you're going to enjoy.
But you're using really good, high quality local stuff, right? Because some of these major companies, I would imagine, I was teasing about sawdust, but I mean, I'm probably not too far off the mark that they don't use the best quality stuff.
No, it's it's the economies of scale. It's all in how you want to market. We decided, we were going to go after the no, I don't want to say foodies, because most people at barbecue don't consider themselves foodies, but people that wanted that top end flavor, that you would get at a individually owned barbecue joint as opposed to a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
They want that uniqueness. And being back in Maine, I looked at two things. I spent 5 years in the Carolinas where I really learned dry rub and a lot about barbecue. So when I came up here and said, you know what, I think this is a good fit for me, I'm going to do it, I wanted to make it Maine-like in more than just name. Bub and Mother's, right? The Maine accent when you say it right. Um, it's kind of cute, but what Maine ingredients can I use? And can I do that and support real Maine companies? So, we went out into the woods of Madison, Maine, and found a company called Maine Maple. And they supply us with the maple crystals that we use as opposed to brown sugar.
And let me stop you for a second, because Bub and Mother's is the name of your
Yes.
company, right? Yeah. So people probably wonder what is that?
Well, and that was one of our that's sitting around having a beer and calling it a marketing meeting. We were chatting, and I said, I really, and this is even before I said dry rub. I said, I'd really like to start a company up here because I think I can give opportunity to some of the younger people that are moving away, because there's not a lot of opportunities on the Maine coast unless you want to be a lobsterman. And that's one of the things up here. And literally, Winter Harbor is a lobster village. They have a fleet of boats. If you're eating lobster on the East Coast, there's a good chance it came from, or at least one of them came from Winter Harbor. So the older lobstermen and the older lobster boats are ocean nightmares. I mean, the engines have no mufflers on them, so they're like ridiculously loud, and all the old lobstermen are deaf. And they all start calling each other Bub. Hey, Bub, how are you, Bub? How are rather loudly. In restaurants and stuff, if you go out to breakfast, early in the morning before they hit the boats, and how's it going, Bub? Oh, it's good, Bub. Yeah. And if you see them at dinner time, they're usually there with their wives, and of course their wives are elderly. And the main male, after I don't know what the age limit is, starts calling their wife Mother. Come on, Mother, we're going to go to dinner. Come on, Mother, we're going to go home. And I went, that's the name, Bub and Mother's. Now let's
I got to tell you, where I come from, you got to be careful calling somebody a mother.
Well, that's what people will often ask me, even when I'm doing interviews, are you Bub or Mother? I said, it depends on the day and who's with me. Sometimes I'm Mother, but for the reasons you mentioned. So, we came up with the name, and one of my friends who's really into marketing and corporate branding was like, hey, it's a great name, but what's Maine about it? And that's, like I said, when we went off on that search for the ingredients. So we had our maple crystals, and we were like, okay, that's cool. And then about 2 hours north of me, almost on the Canadian border, is the town of Eastport, which is the easternmost point in the United States. And, they call it the sunrise town because they see sunrise before anybody else in the country. But they also have a place up there called Ray's Mustard. And Ray's is the oldest mustard company in America that still stone grinds mustard. And before I made my first batch of rubs, I went up there, walked in, I met the family. They've been the same family since they opened the doors, multi-generational. And I said, listen, I got this idea. I want to make a dry rub. And, we use ground mustard as one of the ingredients. And we'd like you guys to do it. Now, this is a company, it's sold in gourmet shops all over the place. They have a huge web business, hundreds of flavors of mustard. And literally on a handshake, Tom, they went, okay, we'll do it for you, and we're not going to do it for anyone else.
Wow.
And I was like, really? Okay, that's great. And I think my first order from them was like a pound of mustard, where, now we go up on a weekly basis, and we get anywhere from 50 to 200 pounds of it, and they've been great with us ever since. So, we added those things, dry blueberry powder, the fresh ground espresso, everything in there is 100% natural. There's no preservatives. There's nothing on the label that you can't pronounce. In fact, I think paprika is the word with the most syllables on our label. So
no, with the espresso, does that have caffeine in it?
Oh yeah.
So that's part of it. Yeah. Okay. And also, I wanted to mention that the pet rock came about over a drunken thing at a bar too, and it went pretty big for a long time.
Well, beer and barbecue always went together, and but the funny thing is, getting back up here into Maine and you're relearning and rethinking their traditions. Mainers by nature don't like to buy what I call one-off products. They're not going to go buy a special tool to do one particular job. It's just not in their nature. And it's the same thing with seasonings. So if I came out and said this is Bub and Mother's steak seasoning, they're not really thrilled with that. Unless they're a family that only eat our steak. So we took that into consideration when we were figuring out the combination of spices. Will it go on anything? And our intent was when we say anything, we meant things that used to have fur, fins, or feathers. We're talking meat, fish, poultry. What our customers literally from the beginning started emailing us and sending us recipes. Geez, have you tried it on this? Have you tried it on that? And when we do our pitches to stores, we tell them our customers use it on everything from avocado toast to fried zucchini. And I got to be honest with you, Tom, I didn't know what avocado toast was.
I still don't.
But evidently, if you put my rub on it, it's pretty darn good. So we thought about that. The last element to the development of it was, I live in Maine. Okay, Maine. People come up to Maine to enjoy phenomenal summers, and then run like hell when winter comes. Well, I don't have that luxury or desire. It's not that I like winter. Winter up here, quite frankly, sucks. But makes you appreciate summer. So I had to come up with a rub that when it's 20 below outside in a blizzard, you're not going out, or at least I'm not anymore, going out to try and light off a smoker or a grill. It's hard to keep it lit with the wind going. And B, when you do real barbecue, you're cooking to the temperature of the food. And when it's 20 below out, it's hard to ever get to that temperature. So I created a blend that had, like, the paprika we use is a smoked paprika, and in our honey and heat, we add to that a smoked chipotle. So what that allows you to do is really get barbecue flavor from your oven, just cooking it low and slow in your oven. So if you wanted a rack of ribs in February, you set I tell people, you set the oven at 250 degrees, put our rubs on both sides of the rib, put them in there for 2.5 hours. And, you've got barbecue tasting ribs.
Yeah, but you said you even made coleslaw dressing
out
of it.
Yeah.
And by the way, chipotle also has the same number of syllables as paprika.
All right. Well, we're going to change all our marketing material now. But yeah, I mean, there are so many side things. You take it, for me, and this is me personally, when I'm cooking a particular meat, barbecue style, and I'll just use ribs as an example. One of my favorite side dishes is coleslaw. It's a traditional barbecue side dish. And so I'll use our Down East dinner dust, which is the milder of the two flavors, on the meat, because I really want to taste the meat with some seasoning. I'll take the honey and heat, and you can use either, but I just prefer the honey and heat, and I'll mix it with mayonnaise. It's literally that simple. Just mix it up in mayonnaise, taste it to where you want it. And, you can chop up your own cabbage or whatever else you like in coleslaw. I get lazy. I go down, I buy a bag of coleslaw.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Right? It's already shredded. I just pour it in a bowl. I pour this mayonnaise, mix it all up, let it, I put it in the refrigerator, and then I start cooking my ribs so that by the time the ribs are done, the flavor is really blended with the coleslaw. And, that coleslaw has a very, very slight bite to it and a little bit of a smoky flavor.
All right, now I'm saying this, I'm picturing like a cookbook, a hardback cookbook with a bottle of Bub and Mother's taped to the outside in Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll cut you in on a percentage if you make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways. Didn't you say that when it gets buried with 10,000 other spices, it doesn't sell as well as when you put it in the meat department.
Yeah, and that's been our thing, like a lot of our quote unquote armchair advisors. Well, how are you going to compete with McCormick's or Emeril Lagasse? And I'm not. I don't want to. And it's not that we're afraid, but we are better off hitting specialty meat stores, gourmet food places, going into a meat shop and go, look, you put us next to McCormick's and you're going to charge what McCormick's charges. You're not going to make any money. You put us near the meat. And we tell them, we try and train our stores, put us near the meat, get your head butcher to take a bottle of each flavor home and use it. If you do that, you'll sell out at full price. You'll never have to put it on sale. And that has been the case, Tom, 100%.
So that's just beautiful marketing. Don't go and I believe in, okay, you're making a rub and lots of people make rubs, but you didn't just throw it in with all the other rubs. You took it away and made it special. I've run into that situation lots of times. They'll have this stupid thing set up for like a, you can, before the pandemic came anyway, but you could take some of this spread and spread it on a little sample of bread and eat it. And I'm thinking, all right, where's the stuff? I want to buy it. And they're saying, oh, it's 12 aisles down, go down and look at it, just put it right where I want it. And that's what you did. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's worked really well. We like many companies, we have what they call tiered pricing. So the more you buy, the less it costs. And that's just business. And we've had situations where a store will come in and they'll say, well, give me this much because it knocks them down a tier. So they save a couple of bucks each bottle. And, I look at the store and I go, there's no way this guy is not going to sell this much stuff in a reasonable amount of time. And I'll do the best I can to talk him into cutting it back. I said, I know you're going to spend a little bit more per bottle, but I would feel a lot better if you did that and sold out than if you bought all this and at the end of the year, half of it is left because you just overbought. Okay. We buy a smaller quantity and it doesn't sell out in the time you want. That's fine. In fact, with our stores now, on their first order, because it's an unknown for all of us, right? I can't tell the world everybody's going to like my rub. Not everybody likes beer. Not everybody likes bourbon. So there may be 2 or 3 people in Cleveland that don't like Bub and Mother's. But other than them, we don't know. And I don't want a store to get buried. So we put them on a 60-day program. And we tell them, look, and we'll strongly recommend how much they should order, right? Based on what we see in the store. If it's a smaller shop where one guy is doing all the butchering, they don't need 5 cases. Okay. And we'll back them down. And then we'll say, look, at the end of 60 days, we're coming back in. And if it has not sold the way you thought it would sell, we'll buy everything back that's left. Your decision.
Now you have this 2 crazy deals that I think are just fantastic. Crazy, but fantastic. So tell them about your program to hire a veteran for a year.
Yeah. Any month that we are able to increase sales by a number of 10,000 bottles, not cases, 10,000 cases, I'd hire everybody. 10,000 bottles. It allows us the opportunity to bring in an additional veteran at a full-time salary. And when I say that, I'm not looking for guys to come in and pack boxes. I can do that. Okay. I'm talking about, as we grow, we're going to need people that are familiar with logistics and the reason for it, Tom, and the reason for the program is, this area of Maine is dying. And what I mean by that is, I'm one of the younger guys in town. And, because a lot of these guys are getting out of the service with great skills, they have young families. And unless they want to be lobstermen, they move away out of state to get an opportunity to support their family. And I thought, you know what, if I can grow this to where I can give them that kind of a good paying job where they can support their family and live this lifestyle, I literally walk to the ocean every day, watch the lobster boats come in and out and do their thing. And, the scenery is beautiful. If I can at least give a young veteran the option to want to stay here, I think I would be doing this area a great service.
Beautiful, beautiful program. Now, tell us about the crazy thing about you're going to give away 30% of your company. How's that work?
So far, so good. But the genesis behind that is actually taking what I just explained to the next level. So, where we are now, and with the equipment we have, there's a capacity. There's a point where I can't make any more. All right. And I'm like, okay, now how do I get to that next level after that? And, I'm like, well, if I hire, then I'm chasing employees, right? And I'll use a veteran as an example. I bring in a veteran, the guy appreciates the job, he wants to do a good job, keeps his nose to the grindstone, or she keeps her nose to the grindstone, they do a great job. And then they go home. And that's what they get paid to do. I don't grow. I support them, but I don't really grow. If I took that same veteran and said, listen, here's where I think you can help me. These are talents you have. It's not in your job description. But if I can achieve this goal and you help me, I'll give you a piece of the company.
Ah, okay.
So we reached out, and I don't know if you are familiar with it, but there was a show actually last year was the first year it was on, called Undercover Billionaire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Glenn Stearns, again, a simple guy, came from nothing, created a huge company, and is a billionaire. And he was challenged, like, if we took away all your money, all your connections, could you still build a successful company? So for those of your listeners that aren't familiar, they dropped him in Erie, Pennsylvania, with a fake name, an old pickup truck, $100, and a burner phone, no contacts in it. And he had 90 days to create a company with $1 million valuation. He couldn't use any of his connections. He couldn't reveal who he was to any of the people, and so on and so forth. Long story short, with all the trials and tribulations, they almost made it, and he put in $1 million of his own money to keep it going. But at the end of 90 days, it was worth like $750,000, right? And what attracted me to it, they opened up a craft beer bar and barbecue joint. So, it was like, okay, serendipity, I'm going to pay attention. So I took some of the elements of that and said, okay, look, A, I'm not a billionaire. B, we already exist and have value. C, I'm going to tell you guys what we're going to do. We already know the business plan. We're just going to speed it up. And I said, and here's the challenge. So we've got 3 veterans that have taken on the challenge and are working with me. And we all have equal tasks. So it's not, I don't get to sit in the chair and go, you do this, you do that. And I said, the goal is on Veterans Day this year, we will reach $1 million valuation. Okay. And if we do that, each of them will receive a percentage of the company. And they can, and they would be, obviously permanently vested in the company. No expiration date, not we're going to take it back in a couple of years. It's theirs. They can, it has value to them. And obviously if they chose, they could sell it, whatever they want to do. But the key is that $1 million valuation allows us to leverage with the banks to say, okay, now give us, the funding for the equipment we need and a facility that we're going to need to put that equipment in. One shot. Now we can grow in those 10,000 unit increments with no restrictions. We're not, it would be decades. If we ever reach capacity after that, I'm probably the size of McCormick's, which I don't envision happening, but I think certainly in the next 3 or 4 years, we're a $5 to $10 million company, of which these guys now, if they continued with us, own a percentage of.
Wow. What a great idea. What a great concept to help veterans, and beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. So
Thank
how do
you.
people get a hold of you or buy this stuff?
Well, the easiest way, as always, is the web. And if they go to www.bubandmothers.com,
All right. How do you spell that? Bub, B-U-B.
yeah, B-U-B, N is in Nancy, M is in Mary, U-T-H-A-S. It's spelled just like it
All
would be
right.
said here
Bub
in Maine,
and
bubandmothers.com.
Mothers.
All right. And what's really good is, before they decide on a flavor, if they want, they can head over right on the website and click on what's cooking, and they can look at some recipes and get some ideas. You know, we have a fan page on Facebook. It'll have a link to that, where they can see not only our recipes, but our other fans and customers post there what they do, some of the things that they've created. And, if they want, we have a thing that we will send them our newsletter, and in the newsletter, it'll tell them, if you have a store locally, if you can get us their contact information, we'll reach out to them, send them some samples. And if they want to carry it in the store, we'll send you a 4-pack as our way of saying thanks.
Wow.
So
Good
yeah,
deal.
we're looking, we want to grow.
And there's a list of stores on there now, if they happen to be in certain areas, that they could go and buy.
Yeah, most of them are in Maine. There's a few in New Hampshire. I think 2 in New Jersey, 1 we're not in as many states as we want, but now bringing these 3 guys on, that, and literally they only started like a week ago. So they're going to get out there and hit their areas, and hopefully we'll be adding some stores very quickly.
Wow. Cool. Great education for me on rubs. And I love high quality stuff. It doesn't have to be, crap that is just all the money spent on marketing and the product sucks. So this is opposite of that, high quality stuff, and it's helping veterans. So John, great catching up with you, man.
Hey, absolutely. I can't believe it's been as long as it's been.
I don't, what year was that we were there?
I want to say it was like 2000, 2001.
It had to be that or before, because it hasn't been since I've been here in Virginia Beach, which was 2002. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
the Camels probably don't want to see me coming back anymore. So,
Well, they'd be toothless now.
yeah. All right, man. So thanks so much for coming on. Everybody check out bubandmothers.com. We'll have that in the show notes, and go there and rub everything you can think of. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, folks. We'll catch you on the next episode. See you later.